Welcome. Mike Evans met with the media today, had his press conference with Jason Licht to talk about his new contract. And a couple awesome things from it we'll cover right here. Mike Evans, first of all, you got to give an appreciation. He is so humble. Just for a guy who has accomplished as much as he has accomplished in his life and in his career, for him to come across as an incredibly approachable, incredibly humble person who has zero interest in just resting on what he's done and is fully focused on doing more. People like that, just in general, not just in the football world, in general, need to be appreciated. Incredibly humble person. Some interesting quotes. Mike Evans talked about the fact that he indeed does want to retire at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So every Bucs fan out there, do with me right here. Because I know over the last few weeks, Bucs fans, the potential notion of Mike Evans not retiring at Tampa Bay Buccaneers has been one of the most stressful things in the community. Mike Evans said outright, plain as day, without really, there is no room for interpretation in the wording, I want to retire a Buccaneer. He talked about how it is so rare for NFL players to be able to play their entire careers with one team and how that's a goal that he has set for himself. He wants his career to be with one team, wants it to be with the Bucs, wants to finish where he started, and just made that point very clear and very known. Another cool quote, Mike Evans said, Baker Mayfield's elite. Asked verbatim by a reporter, answered by the player. Baker Mayfield, elite. We talked about this in a video on this channel when the quote came out from Mike Evans' agent that he wanted to play with an elite quarterback, and a lot of Bucs fans said, well, I guess he's going to Kansas City. No way he's going to stay in Tampa Bay because Baker Mayfield's not elite. Incorrect. Baker Mayfield may not be elite in the way the media ranks quarterbacks or the narrative around the NFL or even the way fans rank quarterbacks. But to an NFL player, specifically to a wide receiver who's got to rely on a quarterback to get him the ball so that he can do his job, they may have a different opinion. And I talked about it in a video on this channel that quote was a positive quote for the Buccaneers, whereas many people took it as a negative quote. So Baker Mayfield's elite. Just ask Mike Evans. The other thing that I think was kind of cool to see was Jason Licht was in the press conference right next to Mike at his side, and some of the questions were directed at Mike, some were directed at Jason. Both gave opening remarks. Jason Licht's appreciation for Mike Evans is beautiful. Like, he is very open with his praise of Mike Evans, crediting him with just really being the foundation of the Buccaneers Super Bowl in 2020 and what the Buccaneers' continued success in recent years has been. And it's awesome to see a GM be that invested in a player, in a person. Because, yes, Mike Evans has given him great return on his original investment and then his second investment in terms of drafting him and then the contract extension they gave him, and now you're hoping to get that in your third. But Jason Licht seemed so genuine and so sincere. He almost was overcome with emotion in his opening remarks at the press conference talking about Mike Evans. He had to contain himself. It was really very powerful and really just awesome to see. That, again, talk about winning culture. You talk about an organization and a team being a family, being one, and operating in that mentality and with that mindset. Little things like that mean something. When you have a player who is so impactful that the general manager is, I don't want to say he was in tears because he didn't cry, but what the general manager is choked up talking about him, I mean, that is special. And the Buccaneers, what they've achieved in terms of the culture change that they have been able to institute, of course, Tom Brady's a big part of it. Of course, Bruce Arians a big part of it. But Jason Licht gave a lot of that credit to Mike Evans, and that's just awesome to see. You love to see that appreciation reciprocated. And Mike Evans said just nothing but good things about the Buccaneers, nothing but good things about Baker Mayfield. I do really also feel like that contract will be done sooner rather than later. And they did reference that contract a little bit. Mike Evans said he was confident that the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield would get something done, but he was also confident if it didn't get done, that Jason Licht and the Buccaneers would find some other way to successfully fill the position, so to speak. So I think it's a great watch. I'd recommend you go ahead and check it out. Of course, it's on the Bucs YouTube channel. It's a relatively quick watch. It's just really cool to see one of the Bucs one of the greatest players in Buccaneers history, and just it seems as though it's setting up for him to get the send-off to his career that he really does deserve, the fairy tale ending that he does deserve, and it's very awesome to watch. And Mike Evans, again, I can't say this enough, such a humble guy. For someone to be so successful and still be so humble and so driven to be better, he talked about how he could work harder, how he could do more, how he left a lot on the field last year, how his offseason is going to be about doing more. So that next year, that doesn't happen. Talked about how he still has more to prove. This is a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame. He's got NFL records under his belt already. That is just an awesome thing to see. But again, I would recommend you watch it. I'd recommend you watch it. It's on the Bucs YouTube channel. Give it a watch.